Hi, I am Sophia. Welcome to True Payback, where story hits different. Hit subscribe. Let's dive in.
My severe shellfish allergy started when I was 7. One bite of shrimp at a family dinner sent me into anaphylactic shock. My parents rushed me to the emergency room where I spent 3 days in intensive care. The allergist who saved my life, Dr. Sandra Park, became my doctor for the next 20 years. She documented everything: the severity of my reactions, the multiple hospitalizations, the constant threat. Your daughter has one of the most severe shellfish allergies I've documented in 30 years of practice, Dr. Park told my parents when I was 8. Cross-contamination alone could kill her. She needs to carry 2 EpiPens at all times. My parents understood. For a few years anyway. My older brother James was different. 3 years older, pre-med track at a prestigious university, destined for medical greatness according to our parents. He was the golden child. I was the problem child with the inconvenient medical condition that disrupted family dinners and vacation plans. "We can't go to that seafood restaurant because of Emily," Mom would sigh. "Emily's allergy ruins everything," Dad would add. James absorbed their resentment and amplified it. By the time he was in medical school, he'd decided my allergy was psychological. "Most food allergies are psychosomatic," he'd announce at family gatherings. "The mind creates the symptoms." I stopped arguing. I'd learned that lesson early. What my family didn't know was that I'd built something extraordinary while they dismissed me. After my 3rd hospitalization at age 16, I became obsessed with allergy research. I taught myself biochemistry, immunology, molecular biology. I started a blog about living with severe allergies that grew into a nonprofit organization. By 22, I'd founded the Anderson Foundation for Allergy Research. We started small. A $50,000 grant here, a $100,000 research partnership there. I kept my foundation work completely separate from my family. They thought I worked as a project coordinator at some nonprofit they'd never bothered to learn the name of. They had no idea that by age 28, my foundation had distributed over $180 million in research grants to 17 countries. We funded breakthrough studies in immunotherapy, emergency response protocols, and life-saving interventions. Major hospitals competed for our grants. Research institutions courted our partnerships. One of our largest partnerships was with Mercy General Hospital's Department of Allergy and Immunology, a 5-year, $12 million research grant studying novel treatments for severe anaphylaxis. The grant was renewable based on research outcomes and institutional compliance with our ethical standards. The department head who'd secured that grant was thrilled. The hospital's research division celebrated. They had no idea the foundation's founder was the sister of Dr. James Mitchell, their rising star cardiology resident. James didn't know either. He was too busy building his reputation as a brilliant young doctor while publicly mocking his sister's fake medical condition. I kept 2 lives completely separate. In one life, I was Emily Mitchell, the family disappointment with the inconvenient allergy. In the other, I was Dr. Emily Mitchell, PhD in immunology, founder and director of one of the most influential allergy research foundations in North America. My foundation operated from an office building downtown. My family thought I worked in a cubicle somewhere. I'd completed my doctorate while they were busy celebrating James's acceptance to medical school. My dissertation on severe anaphylaxis response mechanisms was published in 3 major journals. I was invited to speak at international conferences. I never told them. Why would I? They'd made it clear my health condition was an embarrassment, an inconvenience, something to be hidden or overcome. The foundation grew. We established partnerships with 12 major research hospitals. We funded clinical trials that saved lives. Pharmaceutical companies sought our endorsement. Medical schools taught protocols we'd helped develop. And through it all, I carried 2 EpiPens everywhere. My severe allergy wasn't fake, wasn't psychosomatic, wasn't something I could think away. It was documented by 14 years of medical records, confirmed by multiple allergists, validated by immunological testing that showed off-the-chart IgA antibodies to shellfish proteins. Dr. Park retired when I was 25, but she handed my care to Dr. Kevin Park, her son and an equally respected allergist. He continued documenting my condition, updating my emergency protocols, ensuring I had the latest epinephrine formulations. "Your family doesn't understand, do they?" Dr. Park asked during one appointment. "No," I said simply. Their loss, he replied. You're doing extraordinary work. The research protocols your foundation funded saved 3 lives last month alone. I smiled. That was enough. The family dinner was supposed to celebrate James's new position as a cardiology resident at Mercy General. Mom had chosen an upscale Italian restaurant. I'd called ahead to confirm their allergy protocols, spoken directly to the chef, explained the severity of my condition. We take allergies very seriously, the manager assured me. Separate prep station, dedicated cookware, thorough staff training. I arrived with my medical alert bracelet clearly visible and my EpiPen case in my purse. James was already holding court, describing his new hospital, his research opportunities, his brilliant career trajectory. Mercy General is doing groundbreaking work in cardiac immunology, he announced. We just secured major research funding. $12 million over 5 years. I said nothing. I knew exactly where that funding came from. Mom beamed. Our son, the doctor. Dad raised his glass. To James. Finally, someone in this family making a real contribution. I ordered carefully. Pasta with olive oil and vegetables. Confirmed 3 times with the server about cross-contamination. Checked that my EpiPens were accessible. James watched me with barely concealed contempt. Still doing your little allergy routine? It's not a routine, I said quietly. It's a medical condition. Right, he smirked. Your severe allergy that conveniently gets you attention. Mom touched his arm. James, be nice. I am being nice, he said. I'm just tired of pretending her psychological issues are a real medical condition. I'm in cardiology now. I understand how the body actually works. You're in cardiology, I said calmly. Not immunology. His face darkened. Don't lecture me about medicine. The food arrived. I'd watched the server carefully, checked my plate, confirmed with the waiter one final time. Everything looked safe. I was 3 bites in when James leaned across the table. You know what your problem is, Emily? You want to be special. The allergy makes you special. Without it, you're just ordinary. I set down my fork. James. No, let me finish. He was enjoying this. I've read the research. True anaphylaxis is extremely rare. Most people claiming severe allergies are experiencing anxiety responses, panic attacks, psychological manifestations. I have documented medical records. From allergists who profit from your fear. He sat back triumphantly. You've been scammed by an entire industry that creates fake diagnoses to sell EpiPens and emergency treatments. Dad nodded. He has a point. Mom added, you've always been dramatic, sweetie. I felt the familiar tightness in my chest. Not from my allergy. From the crushing weight of never being believed by the people who were supposed to protect me. Then James did something I'll never forget. He reached across the table, grabbed my purse and pulled out my EpiPen case. These things cost $600 each. Highway robbery for a placebo effect. James, give those back. Why? He stood up, walked to the trash can near our table. So you can keep wasting money on your fake condition? He threw both EpiPens in the trash. There, he said, returning to his seat. Now you can have a normal dinner without your security blanket. I stared at him. Mom and Dad looked uncomfortable but said nothing. You don't have a real allergy, James continued. Stop being dramatic. I stood up silently, walked to the trash can and tried to retrieve my EpiPens. They'd fallen into sauce and coffee grounds. Leave them, James called out. Prove to yourself you don't need them. I sat back down. My hands were shaking. Not from fear. From rage. The dinner continued. I didn't eat. I sat quietly, watching my brother enjoy his celebration, watching my parents laugh at his jokes, watching them toast his success at the hospital that wouldn't exist without my foundation's funding. 10 minutes passed. My throat started itching. 15 minutes. The itch became a tightness. 20 minutes. I couldn't swallow properly. Emily. Mom finally noticed. Are you okay? I tried to speak. My voice was hoarse. Cross-contamination. James rolled his eyes. Here we go. Right on schedule. My throat was closing. I could feel my airway narrowing. I'd experienced this enough times to know exactly what was happening. Anaphylactic shock. I had maybe 5 minutes before I lost the ability to breathe entirely. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands. My vision was starting to blur. I pulled up my emergency contacts and texted Dr. Park. Anaphylaxis. Bella Roma Restaurant. 2847 Oak Street. EpiPens destroyed. Need immediate help. Then I pulled up another contact. Marcus Chin, my foundation's director of grant management. I typed slowly, each word deliberate. Withdraw all funding from Mercy General Hospital. Dr. James Mitchell is the reason. Execute immediately. I hit send. My throat was nearly closed now. I couldn't speak. I pointed at my throat, trying to signal that I needed help. James laughed. She's really committed to this performance. Dad looked uncertain. James, maybe. Dad, I'm a doctor. That's not a real allergic reaction. That's a panic attack. Watch. She'll recover in a few minutes once she gets enough attention. My vision was darkening at the edges. I slumped forward. Emily. Mom's voice sounded far away. The restaurant manager appeared. I called 911. Ambulance is 2 minutes away. That's not necessary, James started to say. Then Dr. Park burst through the restaurant door, emergency medical kit in hand. He'd been having dinner 3 blocks away when he got my text. He took one look at me and jammed an EpiPen into my thigh. Then another. Then he started barking orders at the restaurant staff about oxygen and keeping my airway open. How long since exposure? He demanded. 20 minutes, the manager said. We're so sorry. There must have been cross-contamination in her EpiPens? Dr. Park interrupted. Her brother threw them away, a server said quietly. About 25 minutes ago. Dr. Park's head snapped toward James. His expression was pure ice. You did what? James stood up. I'm a doctor. I made a medical judgment that her allergy is. You're a cardiology resident. Dr. Park cut him off. I'm a board-certified allergist with 20 years of experience. I've treated Emily since she was 7. I have 14 years of documented evidence of severe IG-mediated anaphylaxis. You threw away life-saving medication based on your arrogant ignorance. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics loaded me onto a stretcher. Dr. Park went with me, continuing epinephrine treatments, monitoring my vitals. As they wheeled me out, I heard James trying to explain himself to our parents. I heard the restaurant manager asking if charges should be filed. I heard the server who'd witnessed everything saying, he threw away her medication and laughed about it. In the ambulance, Dr. Park held my hand. You're going to be fine. Your foundation saved my career, you know. That research grant for novel epinephrine delivery systems changed everything. I managed a weak smile. Your brother works at Mercy General? He asked. I nodded. The hospital with your foundation's $12 million grant? I nodded again. Dr. Park's expression changed. Oh, this is going to be interesting. I spent 6 hours in the emergency room. By midnight I was stable, moved to observation and checking my phone. Marcus had executed flawlessly. I had 47 messages. The first was from Marcus. All funding withdrawn per your instruction. Mercy General's grants department contacted me within 15 minutes. I referred them to legal. Department Chairman Dr. Robert Sullivan has called 7 times. Hospital President has called twice. They want an emergency meeting. The second wave of messages was from the hospital. Increasingly desperate emails from the research division, from Dr. Sullivan, from hospital administration. They wanted to know why. They wanted to negotiate. They wanted to understand what had gone wrong. I didn't respond to any of them. The third wave started around 11 p.m. James's department chairman had clearly connected the dots. Dr. Sullivan had called James 7 times. The messages to me started around 11:30 p.m. James, Emily, there's some problem with the hospital's research funding. Do you know anything about this? James, the foundation withdrawing funding is named Anderson Foundation. That's your last name. Is this a coincidence? James, Emily, answer your phone. James, what did you do? James, call me now. I set my phone down and closed my eyes. Dr. Park had given me strong antihistamines. I needed sleep. The next morning I woke to 127 messages. Dr. Sullivan had called James 14 more times. The hospital president had called him 6 times. James had called me 32 times. Mom had called 18 times. Dad had called 11 times. I was discharged at 9 a.m. with strict instructions to follow up with Dr. Park in 3 days and to never, under any circumstances, allow anyone to separate me from my emergency medication again. I'm documenting everything, Dr. Park said, including your brother's actions. That was criminal endangerment of a person with a documented disability. I went home to my apartment. My real apartment, not the modest place my family thought I lived in. 1,500 square feet, downtown high-rise, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Finally, at 2 p.m. I answered. It was James. "What the hell did you do?" he screamed. "The hospital lost $12 million in funding. My department chairman is threatening my position. They're saying it's because of me." "It is because of you," I said calmly. "What are you talking about?" "The Anderson Foundation for Allergy Research. I founded it 11 years ago. I'm the director. That $12 million grant you were so proud of at dinner? That was my foundation's money. Mercy General was doing excellent work. Until last night." Silence. "You're lying," James finally said. Dr. Emily Mitchell, Ph.D. in immunology from Stanford. Published researcher. Foundation director. You can verify everything online. My dissertation was on severe anaphylaxis response mechanisms. The condition you claimed was fake while I was literally dying in front of you. That's impossible. You work at some nonprofit. I work at EpiPen nonprofit. The one that's funded breakthrough research at 17 institutions across 12 countries. The one that's distributed $180 million in grants. The one that just withdrew $12 million from your hospital because you threw away my life-saving medication and called my documented medical condition fake. Emily, I didn't know. You didn't bother to know. You decided 14 years of medical documentation, multiple hospitalizations, and severe IG-mediated anaphylaxis was psychosomatic, because it was convenient for you. Because believing me was inconvenient. The hospital needs that funding. Critical research will continue at institutions that don't employ doctors who endanger disabled patients. Dr. Sullivan received my full report this morning. Every detail of what you did. How you threw away FDA-approved emergency medication for a documented severe allergy. How you prevented me from retrieving it. How you mocked me while I went into anaphylactic shock. You're going to ruin my career over a misunderstanding. I'm going to protect future patients from a doctor who thinks he knows better than 14 years of specialist documentation. Your arrogance nearly killed me, James. It could kill someone else. He was breathing hard. Mom and Dad already received copies of my medical records, Dr. Park's incident report, and the restaurant's security footage. They're watching you throw my EpiPens in the trash right now. Emily, please. The Foundation's board meets next week to discuss permanent funding reallocation. Mercy General had a 5-year renewable grant. That renewal is now impossible. They'll need to find $12 million elsewhere. They'll fire me. That's between you and your employers. My concern is ensuring research funding goes to institutions that maintain ethical standards and employ physicians who respect documented medical conditions. I'll apologize. I'll make it right. You threw away my medication and laughed while I was dying. There's no making that right. There's only consequences. I hung up. The next 72 hours were chaos for James' order for me. Dr. Sullivan placed James on administrative leave pending investigation. The hospital's legal team reviewed the incident. The restaurant's security footage was crystal clear. James taking my EpiPens, throwing them away, refusing to retrieve them, mocking my visible allergic reaction. Dr. Park filed a formal complaint with the state medical board. Deliberate endangerment of a patient with a known, documented, severe medical condition by a family member who is also a licensed physician. The medical board opened an investigation. Mercy General's research division scrambled to find replacement funding. $12 million doesn't materialize overnight. 3 major studies were suspended. 4 research positions were terminated. 2 clinical trials were postponed indefinitely. The hospital president called me directly. "Dr. Mitchell, I want to understand what happened. Is there any way to restore the Foundation's partnership? Your institution employs a physician who believes severe allergies are psychosomatic," I said. "Who threw away a disabled patient's emergency medication? Who mocked that patient during anaphylactic shock? That physician is still on your staff. Dr. James Mitchell is on administrative leave. Not terminated. Not reported to relevant medical authorities by your institution. On leave pending investigation, which typically means you're hoping this blows over so you can quietly reinstate him. Silence. My foundation's grants require institutional commitment to disability rights, patient safety and evidence-based medicine, I continued. Mercy General has demonstrated it doesn't meet those standards. Our partnership is permanently terminated. Dr. Mitchell, your brother's actions don't represent. His department chairman celebrated research funding without questioning where it came from. Your cardiology division accepted $12 million without ensuring all staff understood the foundation's mission, protecting and advocating for people with severe allergies. The same people your resident believes are faking for attention. We can implement training. For your next research partnership. Not with us. I ended the call. My parents called next. Together on speakerphone. Emily, we watched the footage, Mom said. Her voice was shaking. We had no idea. You had 14 years of medical records. Multiple hospitalizations. Explicit instructions from allergists. You chose not to know because knowing was inconvenient. We didn't understand how serious. I almost died in front of you. You did nothing. You believed James when he said I was faking. Even when my throat was closing. Dad cleared his throat. What can we do to fix this? Nothing. There's nothing to fix. There's only consequences and changed behavior going forward. James might lose his medical license. James endangered a disabled patient's life because of personal bias and arrogance. If he loses his license, it's because he demonstrated he's not competent to practice medicine safely. He's your brother. He's a doctor who threw away life-saving medication. Those are the only facts that matter. I hung up on them too. 3 weeks later, the state medical board suspended James's license for 6 months and required completion of disability sensitivity training, ethics coursework, and supervised practice before full reinstatement. Mercy General quietly asked for his resignation. Bad publicity. Liability concerns. Lost research funding. He was toxic. Dr. Sullivan retired early. He'd been the one to bring James onto staff, had vouched for him, had celebrated his hire. The $12 million loss happened on his watch. The hospital's research division rebuilt slowly. They found partial replacement funding from 3 smaller foundations. Not $12 million. Not even close. But enough to continue some work. My foundation redirected that $12 million to Children's Hospital 3 miles away. Their allergy and immunology department had been underfunded for years. They nearly cried when I called with the grant offer. We can expand our emergency response training, their department head said. Update our protocols. Save so many lives. That's exactly what the money is for, I replied. James called me once more 6 weeks after the incident. I lost everything because of you. No, I said. You lost everything because you endangered someone's life based on your arrogant assumption that you knew better than specialists who documented a condition for 14 years. I'm just the person who had the resources to ensure there were consequences. I'm your brother. You're my brother. You stopped being my brother when you threw away my medication and laughed while I was dying. Mom and Dad won't talk to me. Mom and Dad watched security footage of you committing a criminal act. They're processing that their golden child nearly killed their daughter. Where do we go from here? I don't know where you go. I'm going back to work. My foundation just funded 3 new research initiatives in pediatric allergy care. We're opening an emergency response training center. We're developing better epinephrine delivery systems. We're saving lives. And me. You're living with the consequences of your choices. Just like I've lived with a severe medical condition you refused to believe was real. I hung up for the last time. 6 months after that dinner, I was invited to speak at the International Allergy and Immunology Conference in Geneva. My foundation's work on emergency response protocols had been adopted by 12 countries. The research we'd funded had led to 3 breakthrough treatments currently in clinical trials. Dr. Park came with me. We presented together. The doctor who'd saved my life multiple times and the patient who'd turned her condition into a mission. Severe allergies aren't psychological, I told the audience of 3,000 medical professionals. They're not dramatic. They're not attention-seeking. They're documented, measurable, life-threatening medical conditions. When medical professionals dismiss these conditions, they endanger lives. The presentation included the security footage from the restaurant. I'd gotten permission from the restaurant's management. The audience watched in horrified silence as James threw away my EpiPens, mocked my reaction, refused to help. "This physician is my brother," I said. "He's also a doctor who believed personal bias over 14 years of documented evidence. His license was suspended. The hospital lost research funding. These are appropriate consequences for endangering a patient's life." Standing ovation. 3 minutes long. After the presentation, I was approached by 2 hospital directors, 1 pharmaceutical CEO, and 7 research scientists. They wanted to collaborate. They wanted to fund. They wanted to learn. I said yes to all of them. That evening, I had dinner with Dr. Park and 5 international colleagues at a restaurant with exceptional allergy protocols. I carried my EpiPens in a case that never left my side. The chef came out personally to confirm ingredients. My phone buzzed. "James." I declined the call. "Family?" Dr. Park asked. "Former family," I said. "I have a new family now. People who believe me. Who protect me. Who understand that severe medical conditions aren't negotiable or dismissible." Dr. Park raised his glass. "To chosen family." "To chosen family," I echoed. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Marcus. Foundation Bank just confirmed. $47 million in new grants approved for next fiscal year. Children's Hospital program is changing lives. 3 more institutions requesting partnerships. I smiled and texted back, "Approve them all. We have work to do." Because at the end of the day, I didn't need my brother's belief. I didn't need my parents' validation. I had 14 years of medical documentation, a PhD in immunology, a foundation that had distributed $227 million in research funding, and a mission that saved lives every single day. James threw away my EpiPens thinking he was proving a point. Instead, he proved mine. That consequences are real, that documentation matters, and that dismissing someone's medical condition can cost you everything. His hospital lost $12 million. He lost his license, his position, and his family's respect. I lost nothing I wasn't better off without. And somewhere, in a research lab funded by my foundation, scientists were developing treatments that would save the next person whose family didn't believe them. That was enough. That was everything.